Welcome to part 2 of our Tommy the Turtle crochet along. In this tutorial, we are going to be making the fins and the face. So let's get started. We are now going to create the fins. So we're going to start with the front fins. Now we're going to make 2 of these. So to start for row 1, we're going to make a magic ring. And within that magic ring, we're going to make 8 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to pull our magic ring closed and place our stitch marker. For row 2, we're going to place an increase stitch in each stitch around. So 2 single crochets in 1 stitch all the way around. So at the end of row 2, you should have 16 stitches. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And that is row 2 completed. Now for row 3, we're going to place a single crochet in 1 stitch and an increase in the next. So single crochet, increase. Single crochet, increase. And you're going to complete this 8 times, and your stitch count at the end of row 3 should be 24. So I will meet you at the end of row 3. And that is row 3. Now for row 4, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. We have 24 stitches in this round, so we're doing 24 single crochets. 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll see you at the end of row 4. All right, so for row 5, we're going to place 2 single crochets and an increase stitch. So 1, 2, and an increase stitch. So 2 and 1, 1, 2, and an increase. Now we're going to complete this 8 times around, and at the end of this row you should have 32 stitches. And I will meet you at the end of row 5. And that's row 5 complete. So row 6, we're going to place 32 single crochets all the way around. So 1 single crochet in each stitch for 32 stitches. And I'll meet you at the end of row 6. And that is row 6 complete. So that is all the rows for the front fin. So once you're done, we're going to remove our stitch marker and we're just going to make a slip stitch into the next stitch. We'll cut about a 12-inch strand of yarn and just pull that through. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our darning needle and we're going to put that on the yarn end we just cut. And we are going to fold this in half like a taco with the yarn end on the corner. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to sew these edges together so that we can create our fin. So we're just going to basically do what we did when we were adding, or when we were putting together the shell, we're just going to go through one stitch on either side, and we're just going to sew back and forth. There should be the same amount of stitches on either side, so there should be a match for each stitch. You're just going to complete that all the way across. And then you're going to complete a second fin for the big fins before we move on to making the smaller fins. So just keep sewing these together, make a second fin, and then I'll meet you back here for making the small fin. Once you have completed both of the large fins, we will move on to the small fins. So again, we're going to make 2 of these. And to start for the smaller fin, we're going to start with a magic ring and 6 single crochets within the magic ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. We're going to close the ring, and we're going to place our stitch marker. Now for row 2 of the small fins, we're going to place an increase stitch in every single crochet around. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, and we're basically just going to place 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So at the end of row 2, we should have 12 single crochets. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And that is row 2 complete. So now for row 3, we're going to do 1 single crochet and an increase stitch. So 2 in 1, a single crochet, and an increase. We're going to complete this 6 times around, and at the end of this row you should have 18 stitches. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, and increase. Now for row 4, we're just going to place 1 single crochet around. So 18 single crochets, 2, 3, and I'll meet you on the other side. So that is row 4 complete, and we will complete row 5 doing 2 single crochets, so 1, 2, and an increase stitch. 1, 2, and an increase. You're going to complete this 6 times, and your stitch count at the end of row 5 should be 24. Increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase, 1, 2, increase. And that is the last row of your second fin. So we're going to remove our stitch marker and just make a slip stitch into that next stitch, and then we're going to cut about a 12-inch strand of yarn. And just pull that through like that. Now, similar to how we did the larger fins, we are going to fold this in half with the yarn end on the corner, and we're going to sew this together all the way across, making sure you're hitting all the stitches that match up so that it's all even. So just sew along, and when you've done that, complete one more fin, one more of the small fins, and then we'll meet back here to sew it all together. Okay, so before we sew on everything, we're going to create the tail. So first we're going to do our magic ring, and for row 1 of the tail, we are going to place 4 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we're going to pull that ring closed and place our stitch marker. Now for row 2 of the tail, we're going to place a single crochet in the first stitch and an increase in the next. So 2 stitches in 1, 1, 2, a single crochet, and an increase. So you should have 6 stitches around. Now for row 3, we're going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around for a total of 6 single crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And that is the tail complete. So we'll just remove our marker, make a slip stitch into the next stitch, cut a 12-inch strand of yarn, and pull through. Now, it doesn't really need much stuffing, but you can just cut the middle strand of yarn down. And if you wanted to, you can just stuff that right in there so that it's gone, and it will give the tail just a tiny bit of stuffing. So there is our tail completed. We have our 2 small fins completed. And we have our 2 large fins completed. And now we're going to sew everything together. All right, so now that we have all of our pieces, we have the head and the shell attached already. We have the 2 large fins, the 2 small fins, and the tail. Now it's time to connect it all. So we will start with the large fins first, connecting those to the body. So basically what we want to do with the large fins is we want to attach them so that this curve, the side that you sewed together, is facing the head. So it's going to look something like this. And then row 1, the magic ring, is on the inside. So what we're going to do is we're just going to attach our darning needle to our yarn end. And we're going to flip over our turtle to the underside. So basically what we want to do is we want to attach the fin about 3 to 4 stitches over from the head and the neck, and you want to attach it to the first 2 rows here of the white. So you want the point to be here, and you want to attach it 1, 2, 3, 4 around here between rows 3 and 4. And then on this side, 1, 2, 3, 4. So about like that. Now, once you have it in a position that you like, you can take your fabric pins and pin it in place, just to make sure that it's exactly where you want it prior to sewing it on, because it's always easier to make changes before you sew it on. So that's kind of what that's looking like, and this is what it will look like when it's sewed on. So once you have it in a spot that you like, you're going to take your darning needle attached to your yarn, and you're going to sew it on. So again, we want to go 2 rows over, or 2 rows down on the shell bottom. And I'm just going to remove the fabric pins kind of as I go now, because I have this in the right place that I want it. I'm just going to sew this on and push it over to the other side so I can sew this side on. Just like that. And this is what our fin is looking like. So now I'm just gonna tie a knot here. Like that. And I'm just gonna push my yarn end into the middle of the shell bottom. Now I'm going to repeat the same process on the other side, attaching it to the 2 rows in the same position so that they're equal. Making sure the curve is up. I'm just going to place my fabric pins. Just make sure that's where I want it. And then I will take my needle and I will sew it on. Removing any pins as I go. Push that over to the other side. Just like that. And then I'm going to tie a knot as well here, like I did on the other side, just for extra security. And then I'll just push my work through into the same spot where my other fin is, like so. And then, as long as it's in the right place, I'm just going to tie a knot here. Again, just extra security that it stays in spot. And then just cut our yarn. And then I just like to take a smaller crochet hook and find those ends and pull them through. And that is the first 2 fins attached. So now we're going to attach our back fins. Now the back fins are slightly smaller than the front fins, and what we're going to do for these ones is we're going to have the edge that we sewed together, so this curve here, we're going to have that facing backwards, so the opposite of what we did for the front fins. So the magic rings should be meeting in the middle on the front fins and the back fins, and this is kind of what it will look like when they're sewn on. That's kind of the placement that we're looking for. So we're going to just turn over our turtle, and we're going to be working now into the back. So again, take your darning needle and attach your yarn. I like to do this kind of before I place it, so I'm all ready to go. So what we want to do here is we want to attach the back fin between about 5 to 8 stitches from your front fin. So 5 being the start of where you're attaching your fin and 8 being the end. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to start around here to attach our fin. And again, we're going to attach 2 rows in. So I'm just going to quickly place this here, just to make sure it stays put. And then I'm just going to flip this guy over and make sure that I like how that looks with the separation between the 2 fins. And then once I'm happy with where I have it placed, I'm going to sew it on. So again, making sure you have magic ring to magic ring. I'm just going to sew it on the exact same way as I did the front fins. So we're just going to continue to sew on around this area until it's secured. And then same thing, once you're happy with that, just going to make a knot. And push in your yarn to kind of the center of the belly here. Like that. And now we're going to repeat on the other side with the other fin. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of right here is where I'm thinking I want it. I'm going to just pin this in just to see if it looks okay before I sew it on. And I like that. So once it's in the right place, I'm just going to sew it on again. Just like that. And again, I'm going to make a little knot. push that through, and then we're just going to tie a knot here as well. Cut our yarn. Take our smaller hook and grab those ends and pull them through. Just like that, and there you have all 4 of your fins attached. So this is kind of what we're looking like right now. So now we need to attach our tail. So this is our tail right here, and we're just going to be attaching it directly between the 2 back fins. So just going to again put my yarn on my darning needle. And then basically I'm just going to want to center this directly between, and I'm only going to be sewing it to this bottom row here of the shell bottom. And I'm going to just center it directly between the 2 back fins. Like that. And once I'm happy with the placement of that, I'm going to sew it on. Just like that. And again, once I'm happy, I'm going to just tie a little knot. And push in my yarn. And cut this. And there is our tail attached and all 4 of our fins. So that is the body complete. Now, the last thing that we have to do is we have to embroider our eyes. And we're also going to embroider a little smile on him if you'd like. So we're going to take black medium weight yarn for the eye detail and the smile, and I'm just going to put it on my darning needle. Now you easily could also do safety eyes if you'd prefer. So just when you were working in the head, you could add safety eyes, but I just like the idea of embroidered eyes for this cutie. So we're basically just going to add the eyes kind of right on the sides of the head, and the smile is going to be in the front. So what I like to do is go over row to row 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is kind of the starting point of where we're going to start our eye. So looking straight on, we're going to insert our needle on the top of row 5, kind of wherever you feel like is where you want the eyes on the side. And we're going to pull our yarn through. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move 1 row over, and we're going to remove 2 stitches up. So about here, we're going to insert our hook, and then we're going to go back down 1 row over and 2 stitches down. So we're kind of parallel with where we first inserted our needle, and we're going to pull our yarn. And then we're just going to bring it back up into that same hole in the top. And we're going to push it through to the other side. Now we want to find row 5 on the other side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The top of row 5 is right here. So I want to push it around there so that it's even. So that's one eye done. So now just making sure that you're even. Now we're going to do our other eye. So same thing, we're going to go over one row and up 2 stitches from where we are, about here. And then we're going to go back down to the same point, 1 row over and 2 stitches down, pull our yarn, and then we're going to go back right up into the same stitch, and I'm just going to push my yarn down to complete the eye, like that. So those are the 2 eyes. So now for the smile, we want the smile to sit on the bottom of row 3. So 1, 2, 3. So we kind of want the smile to sit right here. So we're going to insert our hook over so that we're about 2 rows over from the eye and like about 1 stitch down from the eye, 1 to 2 stitches down from the eye. This is the start of our smile. So we're just going to go kind of halfway first. So just centered with the center of the head, and then we're going to go over, same thing over here, and then we're going to put it back into that center spot again, and then we're going to push it all the way through back into our very beginning hole that we made. Just kind of adjust the yarn as you need to make it look how you want it. I just have a little bit of fluffy covering mine. There we go. And there's your little smile. Now, once you're happy with your smile, like that, we are just going to tie a knot here, but make sure you don't make it too tight because you're going to pull your black yarn a little bit too tight and it might disappear, especially if you're using chunky yarn. So just tie a little knot. I'm going to cut my excess strand, and then just using a smaller crochet hook, I'm just going to weave in my end. And sometimes when I do that, it just pulls the yarn. So I'm just going to go over my yarn again and make sure that it's not too tight. Like that. And that is your completed turtle. I really hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. It was a lot of fun to do, and I really hope you enjoy the pattern. If you're looking for the paper copy of this pattern, I will put the link in the description box below for where you can purchase it. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a lovely day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!